I mean, I am always going to play with a mouse and keyboard if I'm actually playing this game.
If you want, you can drag this whole window.
Okay, these are some nice additions already. Although, again, it would have been nice to have a little bit of there's no cue of how to get out of the ship. There's a cue for everything else, and that just feels like a pretty conspicuous absence. Oh, that's weird. Oh yeah, that's weird. That's a weird. That's a weird. Again, that's like that feels like if we're in the world of giving people help, that's something I would have liked help with. Ooh, okay, this is nice. Oh, that's, okay. Unequip. Oh. Okay. So these are now no longer things that I take out to turn into stuff. Okay, I see that the icon changed, and now so crafting is now for weapons and not for anything else. Oh, this is good. Okay, I'm now seeing this in the bottom of it. Looks like, I mean, my intuition is that, okay, there's 3 waves left. Yeah, I don't love that I have to use my mouse to craft. Well, no, I mean, I did, but then you have to click the actual thing. Oh, good. Okay. Okay, so here's the night cycle. I'm finally noticing that. Grab these boys. So, I'm just gonna try one more time. Yeah, okay, good. Alright. So, now I get it, that you've added, so there was a weird moment that happened earlier where I tried to craft and remove, and when I removed, maybe I got hit or something. And it was just a weird moment of like, oh, am I not supposed to do this kind of stuff anymore? But that's a nice addition that, okay, I craft something and I have to choose between using it as a weapon and, using it for this creation of more navigation space, which, you know, I know this is like, I keep bugging you guys on this, but it really is like, at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm supposed to be aiming at. Like, am I aiming at like, okay, that's great gameplay. That's great gameplay. That's fun. That's like frustrating in a good way. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep harping on this, that I still don't exactly know what I'm aiming to do. You know? Like, is it I'm trying to cover up the whole board? Am I trying to just reach the top? I still don't know what this UI element over on the right is trying to tell me. So I keep kind of harping on that, because for me, that's like, oof. I keep harping on that, because again, for me, that's like a major way in which I feel disoriented in the game. It was like, oh yeah, I mean, I really like went for it, and it bit me in the ass. Like that was fair. That was because I was like being greedy. Like, same thing if I had died there. I'm like, yeah, that's because you're fucking greedy. Oh, hold on. It's from my sister. I'm gonna do that later. Oh, that's... Don't love that. So are these pink boys just stuck there? Is that just how that works? Love that. So I will say that, like, the immunity you get when you get popped out of your ship, that is the right amount for me. I feel like some people will find it too easy. Like, that I could make it there and all the way back to my ship while being immune. Like, I feel good about that, but if someone's playing this game as a challenge, that's gonna feel like, oh, so there's no punishment for me dying, because I'm just gonna be popped out and immune. Oh, but not substantively, because again, it feels like, oh, like, okay, if I die, I'm just gonna be immune long enough to grab the thing. I just have to, like, not be an idiot and, like, try and drag anything else. Okay. So I have to do more than reach the top. That is... Now I know that. Yeah, see, like, there was no real risk of me, like, might as well not even pop me out. Okay, now it's like, oh, okay, that's a nice, like, oh, something might have happened there, that's a little spooky. Oh, fuck. Okay. Do you explode the things around you when you get back into the ship? Is that... Am I tripping, or does that happen? Yes. Because there was a dude right next to me when I got back in my ship, and... Then I got in my ship and he wasn't there anymore, and I saw what seemed like a graphic, but it was like so fast that I just wasn't sure. Okay. Oh, where's my boy? Yeah, so it occurs to me that like how your reactor or whatever this is flies off is like a nice way that you could easily like adjust difficulty in settings. Is like on hard you have on hard it always flies farther away and you have less invulnerability time, you know what I mean? Okay. Ah, so it was tracking that the whole time. And then I get no reward and I'm immediately back in the next level. Okay. Can I hit quit?
You playing? You seem.
Ah. Um, I enjoy playing it, right? Like, it's fun. I also would get, like, I personally would get bored.
It's really content putting it down after beating the first level.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I want something, like, I need something between levels. I personally would never play more than one level of that at a time.
Why is that?
It was too long.
Too long.
Uh, it, uh, it was like, oh, I just did that for a minute and now it's about to be the exact. I'm like, so really, not only was like that level I just played too long, but really, there's no such thing as too long because it's just gonna be that for as long as I'm playing it. Like with no increasing difficulty or no twist or no like, oh, now I get to do the like funny FTL thing where there's like I make a choice and either I run into like a super easy 20-second level or like a super hard 20-minute level. Uh, yeah, I would not like even though I enjoy this gameplay, like I would like put a quarter in a machine for that gameplay and then would be like, "Cool, I went it's your turn. Do you want to go?"
You mentioned like stuff or right like or you mentioned like why there's not enough there. Is there other stuff you'd want to see?
The bar on the right uh is still unintuitive. Uh I think even like I know that your intuition is probably well, you'll just notice the tab going up as you fill out more of the map. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm also killing guys. For all I know, that's the guy killing tab. And like, for all I know, that's like the time elapsing tab, and there's a time limit. Like, I don't know what that tab does. I don't know what my goal is. It was literally just like, okay, well, I know it can't be that I beat enough guys, because otherwise the crafting thing would be kind of irrelevant. And I know that like, well, I figured out that it's not reaching the top of the stage, so it must be filling out a certain amount of the map.
More clarity with like how to win and what that indicator on the.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I don't know, I feel like maybe it's the length of the stages, maybe it's the gameplay, maybe it's just like who I am as a gamer and like the kind of games I play. But like I would never play more than a round of that. Mostly like shooters, JRPGs, but like even in a shooter, I think.
Like Call of Duty shooter? What do you mean?
Well, I was about to bring that up, right? Like, so I know some people they could put on Call of Duty and put on Nazi zombies, and they could go for like until they died. I would be like, oh, it's the same thing. I'm done. And like after 10 minutes, I'm like, let me boot this. Let me like go boot some story driven game or something dead spacey where it's like, oh, like nothing's ever identical. Like whatever I do next is going to be a new experience. And so like, there's got to be some way where it's like, look, you play a JRPG and technically all the combat is identical. Like it's just reskinned. It's the exact same thing reskinned over and over again with slightly different stats. Uh, and maybe a gimmick. But like they do something, whether it's in the pacing or with what comes between the fights, that makes it feel not repetitive and kind of long and weird. In a way that like there's something to like the pacing of how long that stage was, and that there was no break from going into the next stage. That I was like, oh, cool, I'm done.
So something to change up the pacing in between levels. Was there anything you were particularly?
I really like the crafting system
Okay.
where I was like, oh, like I just got a huge wave. I know that I have this log of resources. I can like crank out some weapons real quick and like deal with that wave more quickly so I have more time to craft. That felt really good. Like once that was like in my mind as like that's part of how you play this game, I was like that's cool, that's good. I'm doing that fluently kind of automatically. So I really like that addition. Um uh I was like very much into the addition of the weight capacity.
Like the nighttime mode.
No, of like the more you pick up, the slower you move.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, no, motherfucker, like you want to be greedy and pick up your core and like six little doodads, you will not make it back to your ship. Or you'll burn through all your nighttime trying to make it back to your ship and then you'll have no time to craft. Which like both of those things happen to me. And I was like, good. That's like good. That's like a nice level of like punishing greed, which is nice. I do like the um I like the direction that like I still think like there's something that's missing, but I like the direction of how death works now. Of like, oh, you get hit in your ship, you can choose to retrieve your core. You get hit while you're retrieving your core, you're dead. Like,
What part do you think is missing?
um,
And is it?
well, I'm imagining like I've been playing this for an hour. I'm like four stages in, and like I don't know. What if I could craft like? I'm still thinking in like sci-fi outer space terms.
There's no audio, right?
No, I'm still thinking of like sci-fi outer space terms. Like, what if like one of the things you could craft is like, hey, you save up a lot of resources. You craft a clone. You can get killed one time.
Oh, so like craft an extra life.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or like it doesn't boot you back, or I don't know, like or maybe that's like a difficulty variable. Like, hey, in super easy mode, um, there's like very little consequences, but in very hard mode, like it's a run killer. Like you've got to start all over.
So we're stoked on besides like the weight and the crafting and how you died even though something is missing between.
I do like the I feel like it is a little it's more exciting now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the speed of the bogeys or how many there are or like the juggling of like hey, the wave is massive and like uh I remember like hey, the final wave that came down before I finished the level, it felt like unmanageable.
Okay.
And not in a bad way. It felt as like there was like that kind of oh fuck moment of like oh I gotta move, I gotta move, I gotta like hold on, stop, let me craft something. Fuck. Okay, angle here, kill that guy. Then like so yeah, like whether it's the gas clouds or the amount of the bogeys or how they're moving or like I did feel like when I was playing it in a prior iteration I was never like excited. There was not that adrenaline rush of like, oh, there's a lot that's happening right now. And I did get that kind of nice adrenaline rush this time, and like, especially of like getting knocked out of your ship when you haven't killed enough things. That's a great moment.
Did you feel like you had too short of a time to live, or you were like, oh, it's way too long when you can stay out of your ship?
Yeah, that was when it felt good. That was when the immunity felt good.
Okay.
Was like when it is like, oh, but even then, I'm still ambivalent about the immunity. Like, sure, like make it so that like when I get kicked out of the ship, there's like a couple seconds of immunity. But I don't know. I'm ambivalent about that. I don't know how I feel about there being an immunity time because it did. It went the immunity time always kind of killed the adrenaline a little bit. Otherwise, like really exciting, like oh fuck, there's so much happening. Yeehaw, motherfucker! Like come and get me. Oh fuck, you got me. Got to get back to the ship. Oh my god.
Um. Okay. Can you? Is there anything else you were stoked on, or is that
I mean, nothing that we haven't already talked about.
great? You were frustrated with.
Uh, there's anything I was frustrated with as much as there was like I think there were just like lots of there's still like those things where it's like I don't quite know what this does.
Such as.
Uh I have enough video game instincts to know that when my guy starts flickering after I hit a poison cloud, that's bad. Uh, I don't know why. I don't know what that does. I don't know if there's a countdown, and I wasn't sure that getting back to my ship is how you solve that problem. Other than that, when I got back into my ship, the flickering stopped, and I faced no consequences.
You did seem to instinctually go back to the ship.
Well,
Interesting.
because I knew it was because I saw it wasn't fading, and I was like, and what I literally thought of was like Pokemon Center logic, like oh, if you're poisoned, you got to go back home. Um, so that was like instinctual, but again, I wasn't quite clear on what that was. I also wasn't quite clear on like the ammo system. So like not only which upgrade produces what weapon to what effect, but what the different ammunitions are of like hey, if I produce this weapon, like you get 3 shots or you get like
What did you think of
the
the
bar.
weapon UI?
I was never looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I was too busy looking at the screen at the bogeys. I can tell you I never once I kept wanting to. Like, oh, I've noticed myself run out of ammunition and like I really should start looking at that little bar. which is so clearly the ammunition bar, and I never can. Like, it's just not. Either I'm not firing at all, and so I don't need to, because it's like a nighttime moment, or it's that kind of overwhelming, like, oh my god, I'm so in the zone. I'm dodging, I'm dipping, I'm ducking, and I can't take my eyes off to look at the fucking ammo. Are you crazy? And even, I don't even know if it was that conscious. I think it was just like, that's just never where my eyes went. In the same way that, like, my eyes never were on the amount of crafting materials I had until I pressed Q and everything stopped. And then I could look and go, oh, you have 30 pink ones. My God, you got to craft some pink shit.
You mentioned the ammo. You mentioned like obviously what that meter in the right side.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
the poison did.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I'm like, oh, green skulls. I know it's poison. Green skulls in my dude flashes. I know it's poison, but um, no. I think actually the other things that I used to be confused about, you've made a lot clearer.
Okay.
So like, it used to be that I wasn't clear on why you would craft one thing over another, other than an abundance of resources, and then you added the outline of how much area it'll cover. And I was like, oh, this is now very intuitive. That, like, I want to, like, when in doubt, craft the lowest most one because it'll cover the most amount of space.
The lowest most one.
Of, like,
The pink one.
yeah, so there's, like, what is it? White, yellow, green, pink. And it's like, oh, always go for pink. When I don't have pink, go for yellow. Or when I don't have pink, go for green. When I don't have green, go for yellow. And if only if I don't have shit and I'm in a crafting time should I craft some white dudes. There was a few moments that were frustrating that might have been frustrating by design, which were I've hit the nighttime and there's still some dudes flying around fucking with my crafting, and I've hit nighttime and there's not enough yellow blocks left to really effectively cover, or it's daytime and there's too many yellow blocks and it's fucking with my ability to navigate and dodge dudes. And those were three things that are frustrating, that it might just be intentional. Like, that might just be like the difficulty of the game. Yes, they're frustrating, but if you took those out, the game would be worse.
Have any more questions right now? With unlimited time, resources, if you had a fucking magic wand
Yeah.
and like could be like to mine.
Yeah.
Many, but yeah.
So I want a concept. You said earlier you're not in outer space. I remember we were talking earlier. And I'm like, so what am I doing here? Who am I killing? Why am I killing them? What are the graphics? What am I crafting? Like, I want that. Part of why I want that is I want a hub that I can go to after each level. Or maybe after a set of levels, right? Like, okay, like I'm imagining if this was in space, you have your little like space station and you click a mission and it's like you have to make it through 3 levels and then you return back to the hub and you like collect the rewards of that mission. Maybe you can upgrade your ship. Maybe you can like talk with a couple NPCs and you can pick what mission you're going to go on next. Like, I want a hub area where like there's a complete break from usual gameplay and there's some different stuff going on. And I think the other thing, the last thing I want is I want a sense of like progression from level to level. And what I mean by that is like it cannot look the same. It cannot be that like, oh, I leave this green. I know that this is a placeholder, but we're talking magic wand. It cannot be that like, oh, I've left this green bottom with a red checkerboard top and yellow blocks, and I just won, and within 3 seconds I'm back in a green bottom with a red checkerboard top and yellow blocks. I'm like, fuck, it's the same thing. um, it doesn't actually give you the feeling of progression. It feels like kind of Sisyphusian, like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing. It it really gives you the feeling of you're doing the same thing over and over again. Um, and I don't know, like I think it might be cool if there was. I don't know if it's like whether to call it a Cortana type character or a Navi type character, but someone who like once in a while is talking to you. That's just like my kind of gamer I am. The complete absence of dialogue, like, is a very retro choice, but also like it might even be cool if like your dude screams when you die and you hear a ah, like kind of a Star Wars Wilhelm scream.
Okay. What's like a for instance of this dialogue when like someone would talk to you?
Like, okay, I'm busy crafting, I'm not noticing the time ticking away, and you have that person, your Cortana person going, careful, pilot, 5 seconds, next wave incoming. Or get get ready, nighttime fast approaching.
Right. Or she could be like,
Yeah, once in a while. Or if you, yeah, which it might be cool to have a combo system. And you hit a certain combo and they go, payday, nice combo, like whatever. Like some kind of corny shit that like makes you smile amidst all the like kind of, because otherwise it's a very intense gameplay experience. It's very much the way it currently plays is there is no downtime. You got to be moving, 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 moving. Like when you're not killing, you're crafting. When you're not crafting, you're killing. And that's like good. That's like, I take it how you want the game to be played. And it is enjoyable. It just needs to be broken up. It needs to not be so like, you know, some adrenaline's good. Too much protracted of that, and I'm like, I gotta go have a smoke and like pet my dog. But I want to reiterate that that might be a personality thing because I know that there are people who feel very differently about video games than I do in that respect, and will just play like, how many rounds of Galaga can I get through for the high score? You know, and the fact that I'm not that guy is results in me like giving you that feedback. Although, as I say that, like, I suppose that's why in most games you play, they'll have some kind of unlockable endless mode that is the exact kind of game mode that I never touch, but that some people will, like, spend a full day doing.
I hope my voice can be heard during this whole recording, but you did this past 2 weeks. Like you're the only person that won that built as many things as you built. You probably died the least too.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say, I mean, I don't know how many other people are like who you're playtesting play a lot of video games. Because I think what you have done really well is you've built a system that if you're a gamer, it's really intuitive.
What is intuitive?
The flow of the game. I would say by like the end of the second night cycle, I was in the groove of like, okay, it gets hectic, and then it's going to be calm. And when it's hectic, I just got to dodge and blast. And when it's calm, I got to craft. And the only crafting I'm doing while it's hectic is maybe to craft weapons. And like that, you don't need any instructions on screen. Like, you don't need any like player tips. That to me just felt like really intuitive to like, you play the game for a couple rounds, for a couple waves, and you get into the groove of how the game wants you to play. For me, at least.